because there's a fish. There's a fish. It's a nice bass. There's a fish. There's another one. See, now we're getting into them. Well, folks, welcome back to another episode. Today, I'm going to be telling you how to fish from the bank efficiently, and not just efficiently, but how to narrow down your spots that you're fishing to maximize the amount of fish that you catch. So honestly, step number one, just find a body of water you know there's probably going to be fish at. That's, I think, pretty self-explanatory, straightforward. I don't know if I was at a hit there or not. Pretty self-explanatory. All you want to do is obviously find a body of water you probably can guess contains fish. Obviously, it's a big lake. There's definitely fish in here. Yeah, so I guess step number one of fishing from the bank and trying to locate fish is kind of doing what I'm doing here, and just start off with something moving. Start off with something that the fish are going to want to react to and hop on right away. Right now, for this instance, I'm using a crawfish colored chatterbait. This will get whatever fish are aggressive and ready to eat. This will tell me where those fish are. And sometimes I can narrow it down, find 3 or 4 fish. And this doesn't necessarily have to be a chatterbait like what I'm using here. You could use a square reel, you could use a spinnerbait almost if you want. Anything that you're going to be cranking in, kind of trying to get a reaction strike off of. That's what you're going to want to start with, and that's what you're going to want to narrow down where the fish are for you. And these flies are attacking me. And I apologize if there's bad wind noise today. I think my mics are doing a pretty good job right now getting that wind noise because they got the windscreens and whatnot on them. But it's blowing, I think it said gusts of 45 today. Fortunately, I'm on the side that the wind is blowing from, so it's going out. If you can kind of tell, you can probably tell. So I got fortunate in that sense that I'm able to, come out here and not get blown away. So literally all I'm doing right now with my chatterbait is I'm just casting around, not anything crazy. And I'm just trying to get a read on where there could be some fish. With a chatterbait like this, I suppose, or with any moving bait, make sure you're just covering water. That's all you're really doing with it. Looking for strikes. You don't even have to catch a fish. You're just looking for strikes. I've had 1 or 2 already that I didn't hook up on, but that's just kind of giving me an idea of where I can focus my time on when it comes time to go to step 2. There's a fish. It's like a bass. Smoke the chatterbait. Looks to be a nice bass, actually. Chill out. Chill. Oh yeah, looks to be like a 4-pounder. Nice bass. So as you can see there, caught him on the chatterbait. This is actually a nice bass. This might be like a 4.5 maybe. Nah, he's probably like a 4. Still a really good fish. All I was doing is I was casting my chatterbait and I was just bringing it straight back in. There's a nice bass right there. And he was sitting right up on shore. We're gonna let this guy go. He is angry. Right there, nice little bass. We're gonna scoot around home. Oh, whoa, there he goes. The fish was sitting right over there and he just smoked the chatterbait. And that's literally all you gotta do. You just gotta find those fish, and that's what this chatterbait's doing. You're not really necessarily trying to catch the fish. You just kinda wanna know where the fish are. So then you can kind of transition here into step 2. And step 2 is fishing it slow. So now that I know that there's fish here, and I know there's kind of an area I can focus on. I've been struck right over there like twice already. I know that's an area I can probably focus my time on. I'm just gonna cast. What I'm using right now is just a jig, a bottom jig, and all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna bounce that off the bottom because I know there's fish over here. I know I can focus my time on here, and not necessarily every fish that's over there is gonna bite a chatterbait. If not every fish is aggressive enough to bite a chatterbait, I'm just gonna drag this jig across the bottom and I'm gonna pick off more fish as I please. It's early summer, the fish are getting lazy. Been hot the last couple days, fish are lazy. They're just sitting here loafing. They're kind of picking off crawfish, bluegills, just kind of anything they can really eat right now. They're just kind of picking off. They're being really lazy. It's not the spawn anymore. Spawn's over. Fish are lazy now. They're all tired out from the spawn, and not necessarily everything they see is gonna get their attention. I probably could have gone over a handful of fish with that chatterbait. They just didn't. They were just too tired to, go up and hit it. Literally all I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna fish slow. Make those fish want what I have. That was almost a bad backlash. I hit the water. That could have been bad. Technically, you don't need to use a jig like what I'm doing right now. It's just kind of what I have in my arsenal right now. This and a Ned rig because I'm sitting on rocks. So that's kind of my 2 go-to rock other than a chatterbait, a crawfish chatterbait for fishing rocks, because I can obviously cover water and crawfish love rocks. And this is probably what all these fish out here are eating, is just crawfish. Oh my gosh, I've done that twice now. And I guess also just knowing the lake is also a big thing when you're fishing from the bank. You know, obviously everybody wants to go fish in the boat. The boat's the best thing you're gonna have for fishing. Even if it is a new lake, you can kind of, you know, get a read for similar lakes you might know. Just knowing the lake is gonna be a big thing, because if you know the lake, you kind of know what to use, what the fish are like. Like on this lake, I know the fish can be really, really sluggish. There's a snapping turtle right there. They're just chilling. Nice. But I know the fish can be really sluggish out here, so I know if I can get one to bite on a chatterbait, they're probably gonna bite on a jig or something finesse as well. And you know, it might be totally different too. Maybe they don't want anything to do with finesse. So I've kind of given it like 20, 30 casts over to that side where I caught the bass. So now I'm gonna focus on another area where I had a strike earlier, right out straight in front. And I'm gonna drag this jig across the bottom and see what we can come up with. It looks like I lost half my skirt on this jig, so I'm gonna switch up to something a little bit more finesse even. That's gonna be a Ned rig. And we're gonna kinda milk out the Ned rig. And see, it's not exactly what I ideally wanted to do, is fish a Ned rig today, but kinda with that jig skirt falling off, I can't really do much about it. So yeah, we're gonna switch to this Ned rig and kinda transitions into step 3. And that is to make sure you milk every spot out when you're fishing from shore. When you sit here, I could give it about 3 more casts and I would say, yeah, I milked that spot out. But did you? Because there's been so many times, especially on spots like this, where I've had new fish roam in that I casted over 3 or 4 times. Well, not necessarily cast over, I cast in that spot 3 or 4 times. And then a new fish roams in maybe when you're not casting over there, and then that's when you get them. So it's so easy for me just to say, yeah, I gave that spot all I got, when in reality I gave it probably 25% of what you could have done. I guess a big thing is just don't, I mean, you can do this, but don't really rely on your fishing from memory. Back in the day, me and Grandpa went out and slammed like 80 walleyes in this one spot. Okay, that's good. Like, there could be still walleyes there, 100%. But a lot of times, fish don't stick in the same spot 24/7 year round. Depends on the time of day, you know, middle of the day, they could be out deep. If you go to a spot, you catch 20 bass, I mean, you could 100% go back and there's gonna be 20 bass again, or even more, who knows? A lot of times people, they go out, they slam them in one spot and then they never get off that spot. And the rest of their, you know, fishing the entire season, they're sitting in that one spot. And then even if they're like catching 1 or 2, I mean, you're still catching fish, but it's not as good as it could be. Because you could go out, like I could come out here right now, if it was the springtime, I could come out here in this time of day, in this type of weather, and I could probably catch 20, 30 bass because they're all sitting up shallow because there's a fish. In the middle of my rant about memory fishing, I got one on the Ned rig. Doesn't feel big. But I could come out here and catch 20, 30 bass, you know, in this spot in the middle of spring, but here I'm catching my second one after like 30 minutes. It's just a little dude. Kind of in the middle of my rant, caught my second fish. All I'm using is just crawfish colored Ned. There's like a little, like, maybe a pound. I don't know. Just crawfish colored Ned dragging across the rocks. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. And that kind of ties into step 3 of what I was saying, is just kind of milk it out. That was a spot I'd casted 2 or 3 times already. And obviously this fish, either he was there and he didn't get a chance to bite it, or he just roamed in from somewhere out there. Who knows where he came from. See you, buddy. Go become a 6-pounder, how about that? That was a spot I had casted like 3 or 4 times already. I'd already went over there a lot. And obviously that fish either didn't get a chance to bite it the first handful of times, or he had roamed in from somewhere. So that's the importance of milking it out. Like if you could give it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 casts, yeah, I milked it out pretty good. You got to give it, I'm saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know what I'm saying? You got to give every single lane that you cast into 3, 4, 5 casts. That'll provide the best results. Like obviously you've seen it. I've been casting that spot like the entire day, and then I just caught one there. There's a stick right there. I'm gonna try cast it right on top of it. That was juicy, right on the stick. Maybe that wasn't a stick because it just poked its head under. But especially with something finesse like this, you gotta. There's a fish. Straight out in front. It's feeling like a bass. It's not a big one. Yeah, just another little dude. I think this one's smaller than the last one. On the Ned rig once again. And like I had just said, like I have been just saying, that was in a spot I had casted 3 or 4 times already. So now that we're finally getting into them, because that fish definitely could have roamed in from somewhere else. I feel like I'm just repeating myself, but it's so true. That fish could have just swam in from anywhere. And then finally he got an opportunity to look at the bait and then he took it. You know, just the importance of milking it out is just, it's such a crucial thing that people tend to like overlook. See, buddy, especially with bass fishing, bass pike fishing, people are like, oh, the fish didn't see it, or the fish saw it the first time, he didn't bite, he's not hungry. Well, not necessarily the case, because, you know, first time he could have seen it, he could have been like, oh, look at that thing, that's weird. Second time, he's like, man, now that I think about it, I'm kind of hungry. Third time, he bites. Milking it out is such a crucial thing. There's another one. See, now we're getting into them. We kind of found a little mini school. This one's feeling a little bigger than the last two. Just not big though, but yeah, he's not that big. I take that back. He's just a spunky dude. Come here, buddy. Spunky little 1-pounder. Just another fish on the Ned rig right there. Just like that. And now that, you know, we kind of located them with the Ned with the finesse ones, I'm just going to keep casting it right back in there, because there could be, you know, 3, 4, up to, you know, 20 fish up in there. And who knows, those could have been the last fish. You know, there could have just been 3 sitting up in there. It's just all a matter of milking it out, because now I'm going to give it, now that I know that there's fish that could be sitting there, I'm going to give that 20, 30 more casts before I even think about switching to another casting location. For those of you who don't know what a Ned rig is, the Ned rig is like a 2 or 3 inch little piece of plastic. It looks like a worm. And you put it onto a jig head, and all you do is you just bounce it off the bottom. That's a really simple bait, especially a lot of people love using it when they're out deep, like Mille Lacs Lake. Such a crucial thing on Mille Lacs. I went out to Mille Lacs last summer. That's the only thing I used, and I just, oh gosh, it was unreal. It was a lot of fun. So Ned rig, it's really popular when you're fishing deep. People do fish it shallow. It's not as common, because when you're shallow, you probably want to use something like a Senko, or I don't know. I'm not a big Senko guy, I'm gonna be honest. Sorry for those wacky worm preachers. So if I have a chance to fish a Ned rig shallow, I'm gonna do it. You know, once you have slowed it down, you'd have milked it out, you can just as easily switch back to something moving. I've totally milked this spot out from what my standards are, and you know, maybe there could be fish sitting out there that don't want something finesse. That's, you know, that's just what it is. So I'm gonna switch back to a chatterbait just for these last couple of casts and make sure I have totally milked this spot out, even though to my standards, I've already, you know, given this spot almost everything I've got. I'm just gonna give it a few more, because what's it gonna hurt? What's it gonna hurt if I give it just, you know, a few more casts? Because there just as easily could be fish that I went over with this the first time. What's happening? You're never gonna know the perfect answer for fishing. There's never gonna be a time where you're gonna know everything. You're not going to know the perfect thing to throw in each condition. You're not going to know the perfect spot in each condition. Fishing's all just a guessing game, and that's so it appears my crawfish colored chatterbait just went sailing to the other half of the lake. Don't know what happened there. My knot was good. It just snapped in the middle of the line. I think that's a sign. Thank you guys for watching this episode. I hope you guys all enjoyed this little informational video of me catching a couple bass. Got to go swimming for my chatterbait now. Hope you guys all enjoyed. Subscribe if you want more hunting, fishing, outdoors content, and we will see you next time.